Greg Troutwine with Offshore Engineer TV, and we're very pleased to be joined today by Steve Likens, the president, Mako Industries, the authorized reseller and installation company of an exciting new technology which has been validated to eliminate the threat of COVID-19, both airborne and on surfaces. Could you give us a brief company history and a by the numbers look at your company?
Sure. Thank you very much, Greg. Appreciate the time today to be able to talk about this technology. Mako Industries is a very interesting company that was spawned as a result of Mako oil field pivoting as a result of the downturn in early 2020 and Q1 2020, where we had a substantial force of technicians, very highly qualified technicians in the oil field side. We transitioned over to our industrial division, which really focuses on HVAC and electrical installations, and certainly with the addition of Puradigm, certainly COVID-19 mitigation and monitoring.
Can you give us a brief on the Puradigm technology and specifically just discuss how's it work?
Sure. Puradigm technology is one of the most validated COVID mitigation technologies in the market today. What it does is it provides an air source for water vapor in the air and oxygen in the air, and transitions through a process called photocatalytic oxidation. And this is a process where you take a UV light that bounces off of a coated metal material, in this case, proprietary honeycomb design for Puradigm, and that generates an output of high energy clusters and oxidizers. So the high energy clusters attach in the air to airborne pathogens, bacteria and viruses. And the oxidizers that are generated, H2O2, are generated, and that treats the surfaces as well. So we attack air and surfaces for not only certainly viruses and bacteria, but mold, VOCs, other airborne contaminants. And this technology, the greatest part about this technology is it's not just us saying it and Puradigm. It's been validated through the University of Florida, provided tests back in July, and then a white paper was put out in August for test results that after 24 hours of continuous treatment, that we had 99.9%, there was no detectable level of SARS-CoV-2, which is the coronavirus. So this is the only technology that has been tested and validated on the coronavirus. So that's what we're very excited that a lot of our customers, particularly in the offshore arena, will be able to have some level of protection.
So Steve, thank you very much for that. As I see above your head, COVID-19 mitigation and monitoring services. Can you give a little more detail on specifically how you and your system go about the monitoring portion of the program?
Certainly, Greg. So the monitoring is an important part of the process. So what we do is we have a technology called AirThings. Okay. And AirThings is an active monitoring system that just as our technology works 24/7 with personnel in an occupied space, the AirThings system continuously monitors air quality. And what it does is you can set the levels down to PM1, particulate matter less than 1 micron in size. And that's where bacteria and viruses live. Viruses are about, they vary in size between 1/2 micron to 1/10 of a micron size. So what this technology does, even though it does not monitor exactly COVID, it monitors the size of airborne particulate that resembles bacteria and COVID. So you can get an indication of if you have an event in a particular area. So it does monitor not only particulate matter 1, but it also monitors another indicator of COVID spread, and that is CO2. So as you have more personnel in an occupied space, you'll have elevated areas of CO2. So as we have alarms set that once it exceeds those those settings, we can set off an alarm to be able to say, hey, we need to provide either additional air purification process into that occupied space, or to be able to provide an awareness for the occupants of that area to go ahead and leave that space and go into another area. This technology is either cell-based or web-based and Wi-Fi based to be able to, and we provide all the data. We store the data for our customers so they can be able to come back and be able to look at a particular time to be able to say, hey, this was our air quality for this time, that we did not have an event, or we did have an event, and the purification system, the Puradigm system mitigated that event. And that's what we really enjoy, is to see an event, and it's going to happen, the event's going to happen. Within the Puradigm system, with it mitigated, you will see the chart start to drop off, and you'll see the air purification system work. So it's an important process to be able to have not only the mitigation tool with Puradigm, but have the AirThinks monitoring to go along with it.
Can you kind of walk us through the procurement and the installation process? And specifically, where on a ship or a rig is the Puradigm system installed?
So receiving plans, certainly initial conversations with customers explaining the technology and the benefits of the technology, receiving plans of the vessel or rig, and then start the process of designing the system. A rig or vessel has certain bioloads that are higher in particular areas than others, and we design the system to be able to provide high energy clusters and oxidizers at levels that are compatible with the bioloads. So for instance, just below the helideck where we're waiting for helicopters, we have a lot of personnel that are waiting there. We want to make sure that we have, for either joining the vessel or rig or departing the vessel or rig, that we have adequate treatment for that area. That's kind of the starting point. Certainly, theaters, mess halls, other areas with high concentration of personnel are areas that we really focus on, as the virus is very, as everybody really knows, it's highly, provides a high level of infection rate, and it's very easy to get contaminated.
Space and power on offshore rigs and facilities are very valuable turf. So can you give some guidance on how much space the system takes, how much power it draws? And
so space certainly is a premium on every rig or vessel, and predominantly either we have wall-mounted units or units that are installed in the HVAC system. So either way, these are out of the way technology that doesn't interfere with any type of operation. It integrates, directly into the ship ventilation system or into each confined space. Power-wise, it's very simple. It's 120 volts with a 12-volt transformer and has a very low amperage draw. So these are very much out of sight, out of mind technology. From a time perspective, back to your other question, we didn't kind of finish up. From a time perspective, we run about 1 to 2 weeks for design review, and then certainly customers making commitments, and then installation. We have our technicians which can go out and perform the installation and for maintenance services on the technology for the life of the technology. Certainly the energy source has about a 1-year lifespan on the cell, and depending on which technology we apply, certainly has HEPA filters integrated into some of the units which need change outs, which are provided with the units.
As you know, the offshore industry is not exactly an industry that's built to be on a work at home model. As you know, in this business and any industrial business, risk mitigation is priority number one. So how does this system specifically work into that risk mitigation profile?
Certainly, it enhances the risk mitigation of the spread of the virus. We are certainly discussing with clients and having them continue on with their testing protocols with their personnel and their quarantine processes. When our personnel go offshore, most operators or drilling contractors or vessel owners have a quarantine protocol in place and testing protocols in place. But what this technology does is it reduces the risk of the spread on the vessel. And so eventually you're going to have an outbreak. Most of our customers have had certainly experiences on their vessels. It can be very disruptive to operations, and certainly downtime and personnel risk. But we have seen that one of the largest benefits is stopping the spread on the vessel. And if we can be able to provide an additional layer of insurance and be able to prevent that, that goes a long way for our customers, which really our personnel don't have an option of working from home. We have to be on the vessel, we have to be on the rig. And we've also seen another risk layer start to materialize as we have seen the workers' comp potential risk also increase. Certainly as our customers are testing, we certainly during that process, they validated as accurate or inaccurate as testing is, that those personnel that are going out are not infected. So if they do get sick offshore, and all of a sudden now there's a workers' comp issue that employers are starting to look at as a risk. And this is another mitigation tool to be able to be used by the operators, vessel owners, to be able to reduce that risk as well.
I know we're still relatively early in the process, but do you have any details on recent installations that you could share?
Sure. Thanks, Greg. Thanks for your time today. There is one particular installation that we are very excited about, one that just came out in the news earlier this week, where us with our distributor partner, Eagle Disinfectant. So we have been installing the system at the Texas State Capitol. So the Texas State Capitol is a very, very large complex. We are protecting well over 2 million cubic feet of air and purifying that air to protect our lawmakers in the state of Texas. And we see that as kind of the gold standard for the state of Texas to be able to provide that installation for Puradigm. And that is one installation that we're just finishing up phase 2, right? As we speak, our technicians are there finishing up the installation. And it's one that we are very excited about, to protect our lawmakers, and the process that we went through and the product went through predominantly to be able to be validated for the Texas State Capitol was very important. State epidemiologists, state virologists, much validation went into the process of choosing Puradigm for the Texas State Capitol. So that is certainly one that we're very excited about to be part of that project, and we look forward to many more.
Okay, well, Steve, again, I appreciate your time. It's an important technology, and I look forward to following up with you in 2021 to discuss even more installations.
Thanks, Greg. Really appreciate your time.